Hi, you're listening to Watson's Right, and this episode is brought to you by his family. They're probably the only ones that listen, and I don't have no sponsorship, so we got to go with what we got. Hey guys, welcome to Watson's Right. I'm Watson, and I'm going to tell you why I'm right. Uh, Second podcast of the show, technically. Wanted to start the first one off with this one, but I thought the Supreme Court ruling with the Texas case was kind of a big deal, especially for people who may be listening to this podcast because of it affecting the right. But this podcast, I just want to kind of let you know about, where I stand, what makes me different as far as being a Trump voter when it concerns me versus the establishment GOP, and why I feel like we need to start over with the GOP. Okay, now, unless something happens where, well, hell, even if nothing does happen, honestly, but unless something happens where we're able to find fraud or, whatever the case may be when it concerns the 2020 election, the GOP as a whole needs to be burnt to the ground and start over. We're going to get into the Senate race later about what I feel like we should do, how my feelings are about it. But right now, we're just going to mainly focus on what's the difference between me as a Trump voter and the GOP, and how the GOP needs to realize this in order to counteract this Trump coalition that we have and build on this coalition. Now, when it concerns the Georgia GOP, for example, well, really the GOP as a whole, not really much difference besides the Georgia GOP being just a kind of bit more backwoods, I guess. But what really makes the difference is the GOP is still, no matter what they say, they are still this globalist, elitist party. Okay, that's why they revolt Trump so bad in 2016. That's why they were so quick to denounce him throughout his presidency. That's why we had people like stupid Mitt Romney still in our party who voted for impeachment, even though, as we see now, Trump had every right to ask about that phone call when it concerns the Bidens. But you'll never hear Mitt Romney because Mitt Romney is, the one. But anyway, um, that I think is what separates the Trump voter, myself as a Trump voter, and the Trump voter from the GOP establishment. Is that we're looking at this more as an America First agenda instead of a globalist agenda. Okay, the GOP establishment is all for cheap labor when it concerns immigration. They're already trying to pass high tech visa for tech companies, and the election ain't even been but over a little bit over a month ago. Okay, therefore, they say they're for corporations, but there's got to be that balance of corporation, but also some regulation in order to stop the monopoly that's going on and it's killing our small businesses here in the country. Okay, the Trump voter is a working class voter. The Trump voter is wanting to build up our middle class, build up our working class, put them back in charge of how this country's going, which is completely opposite of what the GOP establishment is. Complete opposite. They're more concerned with getting power, holding on to power, getting their lobbyist donations, and gaining money through their inside deals with this, different companies around the world or different companies here in America. Okay? That's not what the Trump voter is. Trump voter is an America First agenda voter. And when we say that, it's for everybody. America First agenda is for everybody. It's not this racist agenda that the media is trying to paint out, that we're trying to just push white people over the top. No, we want to push Americans. If you're an American, then the America First agenda is for you. If you are an American and you're here and you're an honest, law-abiding American, then an America First agenda is for you. So that's a Trump voter. A Trump voter is America First person. Okay, that's where the GOP is not understanding, because if you notice now, they're already trying to wrap right back around to the John McCain, Mitt Romney voter. And I can promise you that if that happens, the GOP will lose. The GOP will lose. That style of politics for the GOP died out in the 90s. Okay, that style died. The GOP now's got to wake up and realize who their voters are. But see, the problem with the GOP establishment is they despise the Trump voter just as bad as the Democrat establishment or the progressive establishment. They despise them just as bad as they do. So they'll throw them a few bit of a red meat here and there just to get them out to vote. And then as soon as they get into office, we're right back to square one. We're right back to the establishment. We're right back to the nonsense that we've been dealing with for the last 20, 30 years. So, in order for us to demand change in this party, is the GOP is going to either, one, have to accept the America First agenda that Trumpism brought in, or we're going to have to primary the hell out of these people to get rid of them. That's our job. We control that. They don't control us, okay? They don't control the agenda. We actually control the agenda, and it's time for us to actually start acting like we do. Stop sitting in the back. Stop with the forgotten people. That, the forgotten men and women. Stop that narrative. Let's be the known men and women of America that are fighting back to take this country, to put us first over over this America globalizing society. It's only benefiting the elitists. Okay, it's only benefiting the elitists of this world and of this country. Okay, so the Trump voter is an America First voter. Period. And when we say America First, we mean America First. We don't mean half-ass it. We don't mean America First. We mean America First. All the way. How can we get there? Well, there's a few issues, like I said, that brought Trump into the front pack, the front of the pack, and that is, one, immigration. Immigration, I think, propelled Trump to the top because of immigration is an issue that we got to address. I'm going to have a whole podcast on immigration and how we can address it and what needs to change in order to put America first. Trade. Okay, trade was a huge issue that put Trump up into the front of the pack because we're getting ripped off with the trade deals. He did some work there, some great work there. Holding China accountable in trade, I think, is the biggest issue that we got to tackle. And then the one issue that I think helped him but was not talked about enough, that the American First voters really pushed for, was war. The endless war, like the war on terrorism, the Iraq and Afghanistan war, of why are we still there? Why are we still there? Why are we spending? I think last time I said it was like $6.4 trillion in war. Or that's how much it's cost us so far. So that would equal out to be roughly around $300 billion a year. 300 and something billion dollars a year that we could be using here in America to put our own people first. That we got our own homeless, we got our own uneducated, we have our own people struggling with healthcare issues, we got hunger issues. I mean, you name it, we got it. And we're spending $300 billion a year. How out of touch? Here's a perfect example of how out of touch the GOP establishment is with an America First agenda. Once Donald Trump started talking about withdrawing troops from Afghanistan, now Afghanistan, where we've been since 2011, and in Iraq, which was where we've been since, we've been Afghanistan, Lord, 2011, 2001. We've been in Afghanistan since 2001, and we've been in Iraq since 2004, I think. So when he started saying that he was going to pull the troops out, here came the GOP neo-hawk, neocon establishment. You had Representative Crenshaw from, I think, Texas come out and say, talk about the funding that we do there, how we're building schools, how we're educating Iraqi girls. We're building schools and we're educating Iraqi girls, which is awesome. Amazing. But how come our schools here are crumbling? Why is our schools here crumbling? Girls and boys of our own education system are being left behind. But let's make sure that we throw that money out into Iraq. Let's make sure we throw that money out into Iraq. Because their girls and their schools obviously are more important than our boys, our girls, our schools here in the United States. That shows the out of touch of how the GOP establishment is. How the GOP establishment wants a presence around the world and wants to monitor the world at the expense of our children, our young men and women who are fighting, and any other issue that we could correct with some money that we're wasting on the war, where we've killed the man of Iraq, Saddam Hussein, and we've gotten Osama bin Laden. Why are we still there? So that just shows the out of touch of how the GOP establishment is. Now is the time, like I said, unless something crazy, well, even if something does, but perfect time is something, unless something crazy comes out that overturns the 2020 election. Now is the time to demand the party that's going to win. 1. 2, that's actually going to not only win, but actually going to put us first, man. That's going to put forth policies that put our people first. Put forth policies that's going to uplift our lower class. That's going to uplift our poor. That's going to uplift our education system. That's going to uplift our homelessness. Why does it seem like we're always so much worried over everybody else's issues, but yet we just turn an eye to ours? If we want to cure our homelessness here, we go to a fundraiser. We have a fundraiser for it. But yet, when we want to cure another country's homelessness, we send them money. Our taxpayer money gets sent to them. Why not do that for us? That's an America First agenda, where our money goes to our people. That I've just never understood it. I've never understood it. And I feel like now's the chance that, since we've had Donald Trump, and Donald Trump brought in the America First movement, now's our chance to really jump on that and hold people accountable. Look at people's records. See what they vote for. Pay attention to where they're distributing money. Pay attention to what they're voting to, where our money goes. What aid are we sending off to other countries? What are we doing for our school systems here? Our school systems here are failing. What are we doing? Making sure Iraq has good ones? We need an America First agenda. We need America First candidates. That's how we're going to change this party. That's how we're going to change this country. And that's frankly all that matters. I'm not just going to say change the world, because, that will happen. Let people do them. Let us do us. But find people that you're going to vote for that are going to put us first. Demand it. If they don't, primary them. put candidates up that will put us first. That, in a nutshell, is the difference between the Trump GOP voter and the Romney GOP voter. We outnumber them. Okay? We outnumber them. So it's best they listen to us, or we need to hold them accountable and put them out. We need candidates that are going to put us first when it concerns our education system and understand that our education system needs reform, that our teachers need more freedom, our teachers need more pay, our teachers need more accountability. Our children need to get out of this one-size-fits-all testing, stress-filled environment. We need to understand that in order for our communities to have any type of success, they need the feeling of security, which is income security, home ownership, and health care. Okay, we got to address the issue of the pay wages and how they're not going up. Why are they not going up? We need to incentivize companies to give a living wage for our workers. And that could be something as simple as taking away a payroll tax that the company pays, as long as the company in reverse uses that money to up pay for their employees. Nobody's losing. Healthcare. GOP's got to come up with a healthcare plan. The America First agenda includes a healthcare plan that puts our people first. Healthcare in the old is done. Obamacare changed that. The American people have changed that. We got to catch up with that. So we don't like Obamacare. Well, what America First plan can we come up with that's going to hold people accountable, give people decent health care, and bring down the cost of health care to where it's affordable in the long run? And then housing. What can we do about housing? You know, what can we do to make it to where people can afford to live that so-called American dream, where they are able to own a home and have financial security on top of it? That's three things that create a happy, secure environment: healthcare, home ownership, and livable wage. We can do all of that with a America First agenda, still give people individual freedoms, and make the actual government do what it's supposed to do, which is work for us, not work for the country, not work for the world, not work so people in politics can go and become millionaires, not work so where a person like Nancy Pelosi can go in making, I don't know, $50,000 a year to now making millions. Not work that way. Not only work for the top percents, but also work from the top down or the bottom up. America First. America First is what separates a Trump voter from a GOP establishment voter. And we as Americans should demand that our politicians put us first. Be innovative. Think outside the box. Let's get to that, and let's create a better society for us. It's our taxpayers paying your job. Hold them accountable. Or frankly, stop bitching. We're either going to hold them accountable or we're going to stop bitching. Like, we can't do both. So, to wrap this up, that's the difference, in my opinion, between a Trump voter and a GOP establishment voter. That's the party that we got to go to as far as from here on out is an America First party. It defines us completely different from the left. The left is a globalist party. We can be an American First party, but we got to have plans that are going to address the issues in this country: education, health care, home ownership, pay, that are innovative, that are America first, that are different from the left. We'll win this argument. We'll win this argument if we do it. We'll lose if we continue with status quo. So, appreciate you listening. Like, share, comment. Let me know what you think. My next episode will be more into policy-wise. We'll start talking about ideas. And I just want to make sure everybody understands that when I do these policy-wise, it's not necessarily me endorsing the policy. It's just what I've read, ideas I've thought of. So if you know of something that you want me to read about, maybe you have an idea, you want to put it out there, we can discuss it, debate it. That's how we come to solutions, is debating, having ideas, bouncing them off each other, see where they fall. But my next one will be education, either education or immigration policy idea, probably. We'll see. Either way, thank you again for listening. I appreciate everybody who's listening. This is Watson. You're listening to Watson Was Right. And this is why I'm right.